Hi everybody, so this is a start a new week, so I'm start a new vlog. This is what I'm going to be reading this week. So before we get into that, I haven't vlogged in a couple of weeks, and that is because I destroyed my phone. I broke it, and then I shopped for a week trying to figure out what phone I wanted, and my in-laws was able to help me out and got me a new phone. And of course this had to happen when I needed new headphones, and my stepmom was nice enough to send me some. So this video is very much possible because of my parents, so let's read something that will absolutely disappoint them. On Twitter, this book became very popular, or at least everyone was abuzz about this book. So there was a hashtag on Twitter called Publishing Paid Me, and this guy here, this was his debut book, he got an advance of $800,000. So we're going to read this to see what was so good about it to warrant such an advance. So that's what I'm going to be reading this week. As you can see, I'm at the train station. I absolutely goofed. So last week I saw that the reduced schedule was going away and the summer schedule was going to come in, and I was super excited about that. I'm like, oh, I should put a reminder in my phone so I know that the train time is changing. I did not. So guess who missed her train today? Oh, I didn't even stand a chance of catching it. I was 30 minutes late because I didn't know the schedule was going to be that much different. So I'm stuck waiting here. I hired an Uber. I did not want to do that. So I'm going to be wearing my mask in the Uber, and we're just going to have to take an Uber to work today. I forgot how expensive Ubers were. Now that I pay for a monthly pass, I try to avoid taking Ubers because the pass itself is very expensive, and so was not prepared to spend $20 on a ride today, but I gotta get to work. Normally my husband would just take me in, but he actually started going back into work too. That is pretty recent. I think this is his second day back in the office. So I'm SOL in regards to rides, so I had to get an Uber today. So we're just hanging out here at the train station, sweating, dying in this mask because I don't want to take it off to put it back on for the Uber. So we're just hanging out. I'm going to read some of my book. And when I made the crack of, oh, let's read something my parents will be disappointed in, apparently this is erotica. So I got that to look forward to this week. But since we're just chilling out, look at my cute little outfit. I just bought this dress. I got it from Torrid online. It's really cute. It was originally $70. I did not spend that. This was on sale for $20, so it was an awesome find. And I love the style. And I'm just a little disappointed in the length. I completely forgot that the models that they use is like 6 feet tall. So this was supposed to be like a cocktail length on the model. And so as you can imagine, it is rather long on me, but it works. It's not dragging on the floor, so it works. I guess I'll start reading while I wait for my Uber to show up. Hi everybody, it's Wednesday, finally checking in with y'all. I thought Monday was going to be the worst of my days. While I was waiting for my Uber on Monday, I had saw a shuttle bus come up and take people away from the stop that they've been using on the weekends. And I'm like, I swear to God, I think I could have taken that and not pay for an Uber. But it was like, you know what? Now I know what I'll do for Tuesday. So my station is doing a lot of work right now. And so we have to use the shuttle buses like halfway through the line and then have to get off and get on the train again. So just in case I was going to be late, because these buses have been notoriously late, I took the earlier train Tuesday morning. The train that I normally would need was at 6:36, but I grabbed the 6:01. And thank goodness I grabbed that earlier one, because the bus was so late it made me miss the connecting train, so I had to wait for the next one. And I originally wasn't going to grab that early train. I had set my alarm for the later one, and I just happened to have woken up in time for that early one. And I think I know why that happened. After all this like mayhem of trying to get into Boston, once I was in Boston, there was this older lady that I see a lot. She uses a sightseeing cane. She's blind, and occasionally they'll have someone there to meet her, but because this train was so late, she was by herself. I was like, you know what? I have to use the bathroom. I'm going to be an hour late for work. Heck, this is why I was up so early. So I went to help her, and she speaks like how I would. Long, convoluted stories where you don't know where like the end of the story is. And she's talking about how she was she got in contact with someone with COVID, and it was really difficult to try to get tested. And throughout the story, we're walking at a snail's pace, and like, I swear to God, if you do not end this quaint little yarn with, oh, by the way, I tested negative for COVID, I'm going to lose my marbles. Thankfully she did when we finally had to part ways. And you know, it was a good thing I was with her, because my little bus pass or subway pass that I just have to tap and walk through to the subway, it decided to pretend it had money on it. It's like, sorry, you don't actually have enough money to go in. I'm like, well, that's incorrect. It's a monthly pass. I spend far too much money on this monthly pass for this nonsense. And she had let me in. That was quite the endeavor getting into work. And then of course work was just long and boring. I ended up watching like a bunch of webinars on grants to set up, you know, different intercity bus programs, and it was just really boring. And getting home was also just as convoluted because I had to take the same route home. So it was a long day yesterday. I did get some reading done while I was like going to and from places. Water got in my book. It's been dripping water a little bit. It rained not that long ago. So I'm officially at page 77, about third way through this book. I'm officially a third of the way through this book. And I don't know why people was talking about it online as if it's erotica. It's not. I mean, not gonna lie, I've read some questionable smut now that I know that my parents and my boss knows these videos exist, and most likely they're watching this video. That's probably something you didn't need to know about me, but now you do. I've read some questionable stuff, and this is just boring. So the story actually is Henry and Effie, they just got married. Effie wants to take him to where her family owns a cottage and where they go every summer, but she didn't realize that going in September would mean she didn't realize going into September would mean it being off season, and so everything's closed. And so the first week of this honeymoon is rather boring. And that's just basically been the story until we hit about maybe page 40, page 50-ish, where they meet another couple, and they start hanging out with them, and they start partying with them, and they seem to be enjoying their honeymoon more now that they're with them. But 80 pages in, that's all that's been happening. That there's nothing exciting that's drawing me in or keeping me wanting to read it. Like, I'm totally am going to continue with it because it's technically not badly written. Like, from a technical standpoint, it's fine. It's easy to read. It goes by quickly. But it's just like the sex parts. I'm trying to keep my voice out because somebody's here. It's just the sex parts of the book is kind of like it's either lackluster or hilarious. Like the first line of them being together, because this first line actually made me think, oh, is more going to be brought on about it? They both, as far as Henry knew, had been virgins. Like, why would you word it like that? Are we going to find out later that she lied? So I'm expecting some drama to eventually happen, and this also made me laugh too. After they finally do it for the first time, well, Effie said, I guess we've done it then. So he had a very quick performance, and she obviously was not impressed. And they have a couple of interactions like that until eventually Henry is at this party with this other couple that they met, and people are getting absolutely drunk, and he's outside relieving himself, and he actually hears a couple doing it upstairs, and the lady is making noises, and he's like, oh, Effie doesn't make those noises, and took everything I had not to joke. I'm like, well, you obviously need to educate yourself, as it were. Various moments like that. Like, Henry is very sweet, he's just very oblivious. And Effie, I'm not necessarily impressed with. I think she's at times unnecessarily mean. So she's prim and proper in their standards that her family has taught her to uphold, and she's just she likes to adhere to those standards. There's two more not safe for work moments that made me kind of chuckle. Like, one of the first times that they've did the deed together, they're lying in bed, and Henry sees his, for lack of a better word, his groin, like leaning up against on Effie's thigh, and he's like, and he makes us know, like, oh, he likes the sight of that. Why did the author include that? Why did I need to know that he liked seeing his junk on his wife? Is that another way that dudes like claim to women? Not that they can, obviously, but why? And every time he gets close to her groin, he always makes sure to describe it as smelling like Dial soap or like linen. And I'm like, dude, Mr. Author Man, vaginas don't smell like that, at least naturally. So every time I read that, I'm like, Effie, you need to cool it with the douches. Otherwise, you're going to risk getting a yeast infection. And that takes me out of the story. Or Mr. Chip Cheek. Is that his name? Chip Cheek? Chip Cheek? Vaginas don't smell like that. So those are just moments that have taken me out of the story, which is the only reason the story so far has been mildly amusing. Other than that, it's boring. Nothing is happening. Like the couple that they get together with, Clara and Max. Clara is, I don't know if it's Clara or Clara. I'm probably going to say both interchangeably. Clara is actually married to this older rich guy, but she's having an affair with Max, but they're not hiding it. It's kind of an arrangement that they have. So they're very boisterous and loud and having fun. And so I like them. And I kind of wish the story would focus on them. I feel like this is setting up for them to be swingers. I don't know. But like I said, it's technically not badly written. However, I'm very surprised that this guy got an advancement of $800,000. It's not that good. Well, hello everybody. If you hear a lot of cars around, it's because I'm waiting for the bus into work. The train station is still under construction, so still buses for now. It's been a little over a week since I last checked in, and I've had quite the week. And I feel like I'm in some sort of adult version of Jumanji, because the last time I checked in, my week has just been like every day something has gone wrong. And I'll be honest, the only reason I haven't really been into a whole lot of like bookish content lately is because I finally got Disney Plus and I've been obsessed with it. I watched Hamilton, which was fabulous. I also finally watched The Mandalorian, which was also very good. I feel like I'm missing a whole lot of stuff. I did film a whole lot of clips, but I suppose it's enough gabbing. Let's actually get into the book itself. Well, since I last checked in, you know how I had said, like, oh, it's setting up these characters to be swingers? Not necessarily. So with the friends, like the guy and the girl, the guy actually has a sister that's staying with them. It turns out that our main character, the husband, see, it's been so long, I'm spacing on his name. So these are our characters. We have Henry and Effie, our two newlyweds. They're friends, Max and Clara, or Clara. Clara, we're just gonna, Clara. And Max's sister, Alma. Yeah, Henry starts an affair with Alma, and he's definitely intrigued by her. At first, that they're kind of not playing cat and mouse, they're not really interacting. But a couple of times late at night, they have these really in-depth conversations, and then he starts to get really attracted to her. He's like starts lusting after her. Then one night when Effie is sick, she doesn't go to this after party, and she's, no, you should go. It's going to be a good time. You, Max, and Clara, you guys are going to have such a great time. You should go anyways. And so he goes. And at this party, he gets rip-roaring drunk and has sex with Alma in a library off to the side where everyone's drinking in the living room. And he regrets it immediately. He's like, you know what, this can't happen again. This was a mistake. And Alma, of course, is upset. She's like, I didn't make you do this, but don't worry about it. I'm not going to say anything. And within days, he like pursues her again and sleeps with her again. So at where I am now, they're having an affair and they're trying to keep it hush-hush, which I don't know how they're going to keep it hush-hush since they're in this deserted holiday town. It's literally just the five of them. And right now, Henry and Effie, they have to close up the vacation home because they only had it for 2 weeks. And Max and Clara go, hey, you don't have to go home right away. You can stay with us. So he's staying in the house with his mistress and his wife. So I don't understand how he expects to keep this a secret. So now I really don't like Henry. Before I thought he was a lovable idiot, but the author has written these interactions. You know how I was like, why did you talk about Effie's scent in the beginning? And why did you word it as, oh, as far as I know, she was a virgin when we got married? The way he describes Alma and their interactions, like he gets too close to her at one point and he smells her unwashed hair. She's worn the same dress for a couple of days. And when he finally has sex with her, he talks about her musk. So Effie is nice and pure and clean, whereas Alma isn't, and that upsets me. because it sets up the story as he's going to have his fun, realizes his mistake, goes back to his wife because his wife is far more superior than to Alma. Without meaning to, I hope that the author did this without meaning to, but regardless if he did it without meaning to, how he has it set up, it reminds me of what my father said to me when I was very young. We were watching Riverdance, and the story was basically how the main guy was dancing with the lady in red, but he eventually ends up with the lady in white. And my dad goes, see, learn from this, girls. Guys may have their fun, but they're always going to go after the pure person. And I remember that to this day and being very confused, like, well, why isn't he held accountable too? So that's all I think of with these interactions. And I'm like, you know what? If a girl is dirty after you touch her, how about you look at your hands? Because it's pretty clear that Alma wasn't a virgin when she first interacts with Henry. So that's where I am right now. Not impressed with these characters. Not impressed with the writer and his choices. Oh, hold on, my bus is here. We'll conclude this in another time. Hello, everybody. So it has been a while since I've checked in regards to reading Cape May. Last time I checked in, I was roughly at 172, at least that's where I think I was. And I didn't have a whole lot left of this book. So last time I left off, Henry was having this affair despite only being married for less than 2 weeks. Him and this girl had decided that, all right, tomorrow we're going to make our excuses and we're going to run away together. And that was the plan. And the next day the girl tells her brother, oh, actually, I'm missing New York. I want to go home, so I'm just going to take off. And she leaves without telling Henry what she's doing. So Henry thinks she's changed her mind about the whole thing, and he's actually relieved. It's like, oh, thank God. This was definitely a flight of passion. This would have ruined our lives. And you can see that he's actually relieved that she's gone. He misses her, obviously, but he's actually kind of relieved that this whole thing is said and done and he didn't actually have to face any consequences. After this girl leaves, he then spends the day with his wife, Effie, and the other couple. And the woman of the other couple is also relieved that the girl left. She's like, oh, we can finally be ourselves. They drink, they have fun, and at the end of the day, they get absolutely trashed. And they end up switching spouses and having sex with the other person's spouse. Like Effie has sex with the guy and Henry has sex with the girl, and they're having sex in the same room. So it's not only are they swingers, like I thought this how this story was going to go, but it's an orgy. And the orgy does not make sense. Why did you put in an orgy? It doesn't make sense. And then he has the audacity to get mad. He gets mad at Effie while he's having sex with the other woman. He looks over to Effie and he wants Effie to make eye contact with him, to recognize that he's there, that they're doing this together. And when she doesn't make eye contact, she's in the throes of passion with the other guy, making sounds that he's never made her make. He gets upset. He is angry. And so afterwards, they clean themselves up, they go to sleep, and the next day Effie is upset. She is obviously feeling shame, and she's like, I can't believe, she's obviously feeling shame, and she wasn't saying anything until Henry starts to slut shame her. And she gets upset, honestly, you should have protected me, like you shouldn't have put me in that situation. Obviously the whole dynamic of the 1950s slut shaming thing played a part in all of this, and they agree kind of like, all right, it happened and we're going to work past this. This prompts Effie to not want to stay at this house anymore with the couple, so she moves back to her family's vacation home. And when they're back at this vacation home, they kind of like try to, I don't know, go back to a sense of normalcy, and they go to bed, and while he's sleeping, Henry gets woken up by the girl that he's having the affair with, and she's like, where have you been? I thought we were going to run away together. I left early so we could not make it super obvious. Where have you been? And this is where he pretty much has to tell her, okay, so this was a mistake. I don't actually want to run away with you. And she, of course, gets upset. They somehow made their way outside so they don't wake Effie, and he goes to like kiss her goodbye. And in the act of kissing her is when Effie comes out, and he hears Effie go, "Oh my God." So the jig is up, and he now has to try to salvage his marriage. The girl, of course, says goodbye to him and leaves, goes back to like with the vacation home where her brother is, and they eventually take off together. But Henry doesn't know this, and so he spends hours first looking for Effie because Effie takes off. And then when he can't find Effie, he's really angry and he wants to go find the girl that he's been having the affair with. And he goes to the empty vacation home where they've been screwing. Thing is, it's no longer empty. The actual owners of the house have arrived, see that their house is a mess, and they see that people have been screwing in their home. Cops take Henry away, and of course the cops find this whole thing freaking hilarious. They like pat him on the back, and they find the whole thing very funny, and they're also impressed that this man has only been married for less than 2 weeks, and he's already gotten some additional tail. And the only way this man does not go away into prison or faces a fine or anything is because he calls the woman from the couple that they've been hanging out with. The woman tells him where the girl and the brother went, and she actually, because she's also from this area, she goes to the homeowners, convinces them not to press charges, and she bails out Henry. And when Henry is out, he finds Effie again, finds out Effie is pregnant. And it's through this news that they decide that, you know what, let's work on our marriage. And the rest of the book is them living out their lives together. It's rather boring. He continues to cheat on her. And then when she passes away from old age, he finds these love letters, and he finds out that she also had an affair at one point during their many years together. And he generously doesn't hold that against her. And he burns the letters, and it just reminisces on their life together. A publishing company paid $800,000 for this. Absolute trash. Not only, there's just so much in here that didn't make sense. Like in the beginning when I was complaining about them talking, like, how do I want to write this? Excuse me. You know how in the beginning I was complaining how they were describing the smell of both the ladies' vaginas. At one point, the girl comments on his smell, and it's like, oh, it smells like pancakes. Like yeast. The guy smells like yeast. I mean, not surprised this man needs a wash after all the tomfoolery he's been doing, but And at various points during the story, he's dealing with constipation, and I don't understand why that was added. Obviously, without a doubt, I've rated this 1 star. I'm very confused by this book. I'm not entirely sure why they paid so much for this book. This book is literally, it is smut. So that was the correct assumption that I had, because nothing else happens other than sex. There's just obviously this disconnect, because this man, this author, does not know how to write for his audience. Because I feel like the only type of reader that reads smut is mostly women, especially if it's like a heterosexual couple. I feel like your audience is women, and I feel like this man does not know how to write about women's pleasure. And that's it. I can finally yeet this away from me. I'm going to return it because it is the library book, but if it's my book, I would probably bury it somewhere. That's all I got to say about this book. It's trash, it's bad, don't read it. And let me know if you've read it, actually. I know once we all found out how much the publishing company paid for this book, a bunch of people did reading vlogs on it. So let me know if you were unfortunate enough to read it. Let me know your thoughts about it, if you agree or disagree with me. I'm open to differing opinions. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I guess it's ta-ta for now. Bye, guys.